Hello everyone, welcome to JPEGs Only. This is a channel where I share photos from a largely JPEG only workflow, but also talk about the ethos behind adopting a workflow like that, why it has worked for me, and how it kind of reinvigorated my love for photography a few years ago. Coming to you this evening with a slightly different video, but it's related. I want to talk about dealing with perfectionism as a creative or working in the creative fields. I don't think this will be an entirely comprehensive covering of that topic because it's huge, but I just wanted to start the conversation because it is like a key component and key motivating factor for me in starting this channel, or I guess more importantly, adopting a JPEG only workflow. That's kind of the Trojan horse. It's not really about the JPEGs. It's about me sorting out my own stuff. It's a really interesting topic because I think it affects lots of different creatives in lots of different ways. I've worked in creative fields my whole life and, gotten to work with countless different kinds of creatives across all different fields. And I think every one of them, deals with perfectionism to some degree, and, have to grapple with it in a sort of mental health perspective, I suppose. I want to start having that conversation on this channel because it is a key theme, I think, in my life as well. Been thinking recently about why that is, or how that perfectionism kind of seeps in. I think it's really important to be self-critical. Like, I think you need that quality to be a creative and to work in a creative field, because it allows you to get better, it allows you to continually improve, it allows you to analyze your work and analyze how you're doing your work, make iterations and improvements to those processes, and ultimately be able to express yourself more effectively. So that's obviously super important. But then the flip side of that is when you're constantly criticizing your output, criticizing how you do things, critiquing the choices you make, it can lead to a lot of self-doubt, a loss of confidence, insecurity, that kind of thing. I was thinking about the creative process and how it can kind of be split into two different, we can call them pillars. The first pillar is, I guess, the technique or the technical side of creating things. You need a certain set of skills to be able to produce output, right? Like if you're a musician, you have to be able to play your instrument. If you're a photographer, you have to be able to work your camera. You have to understand composition and light and the technical aspects, the exposure triangle and all those kind of things. If you're a dancer, you need to know, I obviously don't dance. You need to know all your dance moves, how to do them well. So there's that component of it. I think in that side of being a creative, being really self-critical, having perfectionistic tendencies is actually really valuable because you're constantly honing your skills. And, often in competitive fields, it's important to be as good as you can be at what you do in a lot of respects. However, the other side of being a creative, I think, are, I guess you could call them like soft creative skills. I'm sure someone's done an actual, analysis of this. I'm just speaking off the cuff about how I feel about it. So you have your technical skills, but I think there is a soft skills component too, which is the choices you make and how you choose to use your technical skills to express your subjective worldview. It's kind of like, to put it really simply, I will try and play stuff on the piano that I think is cool or that resonates with me emotionally. I will try and take photos that I think look cool, and that is exercising a certain kind of subjective, faculty in the choices that you make. When you do that, you're putting a little bit of yourself, like your personality, your essence, into your work. And I think, when you've developed these habitual self-critical tendencies and ways of working, you start to then criticize bits of your personality or if other people judge your work, in a way you might feel like they're judging you or a part of you through the choices that you made. A good friend of mine who is a musician once said to me, he was in a stage of doing heaps and heaps of practice, but I don't think he was entirely happy, but he was getting really good at what he did. And he said to me once when we were catching up, I really wish my feeling of self-worth wasn't so tied to how much I practiced. And I think that really summed up kind of the marriage between this technical side and this soft skills side, where when we tie bits of our personality to our work, we kind of benchmark our self-worth on our output, on our creative output. And then if people don't like it, or if we're not feeling like it's as good as it can be, you start to feel like you're not as good as you can be, which I don't think is a healthy space to be in, if I'm being totally honest. I think that could provide you fuel to get really, really good at what you do and be one of the best. And if that's your key objective, then go for it. That's your choice. That's amazing. But there is something to be said about balance and being a human and looking after sort of other aspects of your life as well, not just your craft and your practice. Tying on into that, or following on from that, that's what I'm trying to say. Following on from that, Herbie Hancock has a quote in his autobiography. I can't remember the exact quote, but to paraphrase it, he says, "I'm not a musician. I'm a human that plays music." So you're a person first, before you're a photographer. You're a person first before you are a pianist. You're a person first before you are a dancer with sick dance moves. And kind of hearing someone who I really look up to in that field preach that humanity first perspective in the creative fields was really powerful, because it allowed me to sort of reframe how I saw myself, because I've always felt the pressure to be better, always been really hard on myself in like all aspects of my life. It's helped me develop really valuable skills, and that's great. But yeah, ever since thinking about it in terms of balance first, that's really helped me. Yeah. And I guess on a smaller level, in photography, wanting every photo to be the best photo it could possibly be, editing everything in Photoshop, sliding sliders on screens, really sucked the joy out of it for me. But now that I've adopted a workflow where I'm, primarily getting stuff straight out of camera, making a few tweaks here or there, I try not to be prescriptive. I'm not a purist in the sense that you have to, SOOC, you don't have to get it straight out of camera, like do whatever you want. But for me, working primarily in JPEG has really helped me just take photos and love taking photos and not worry about them all being clinically perfect every time. And it's kind of, I guess, a microcosm of an attitude that I try and bring to life now. And it's made me a lot happier. So I'd be really interested to hear, if other people out there deal with, being self-critical, struggle with perfectionism in the creative fields, how you've grappled with it, if you're struggling with it. Look, and obviously if you're struggling with mental health, always go and see someone, always go see a therapist. Feel like I'm obliged to say that when I'm talking about topics like this. Be really interested to hear from you. Thanks so much for listening.